Our story begins on an evening in early December in the mountains, not too far west of Denver. The sun's already down, and the sky's that dark, dark blue that it turns just before it goes black. The stars are just starting to come out, and if you look over there, just beyond the horizon, between those two cottonwood trees, you can see the Big Dipper and the North Star. We're at a small farm where Mr. and Mrs. Peterson live, Margaret and Joe. They have a grown-up son, Robert, and he travels around the world. He's a photographer and journalist, and wherever he is in the world, he writes home to Margaret and Joe, sends them letters and pictures, and tells them all about his adventures. Dinner's over and the dishes are done and washed and dried and put away. The tea kettle whistles. There are two big blue and white Delft mugs on the counter, each with a tea bag. Joe calls out, "Marge, the water's boiling. Are you ready to look through the letterbox?" He's got a big fire burning in the fireplace, and the ottoman is pulled up in front of the sofa so they can relax and put up their feet. "I'm coming," says Margaret. "Save me the seat closest to the fire." She enters the room carrying a tray with 2 cups of hot, steaming tea and a plate of sugar cookies. They sit side by side on the sofa and open the lid on a wooden box full of letters. "How long has it been now?" says Joe. 2 years. 2 years. Seems a lot longer. I sure do miss him. "Remember that song he used to sing in kindergarten," says Margaret, "about a little boy who leaves home to see the wide, wide world, and his mother misses him terribly. That song could be our Robert. Do you remember it? Shall I play it?" "Sure," says Joe. Says Marge, "traveling the world. See if you can find the letter from Africa. That's my favorite." Joe digs through the box and pulls up a big, thick brown envelope. "This is it," he says. "I can tell from the stamps." Margaret settles back against the sofa and lifts her teacup and gently blows the steam into the room. Joe starts to read. "Dear Mom and Dad, the crew and I are in the most amazing place, a small town at the edge of the desert. It's a gathering place where people come from different countries to buy and sell food, trinkets, animals, textiles, everything imaginable. There are tents of every color, exotic animals, Sikhs dressed in turbans. We'll be here a couple days getting our provisions ready before we head out across the Sahara. I'm pretty much free to do whatever I want until we leave. So I spend a lot of time walking around." place I went to see was the horse trading ring, where they were showing Arabian horses. The horses had silver halters and pranced back and forth so the buyers could see how beautifully they moved. They were big, beautiful, strong horses. While several men bartered. Then I heard cheering and yelling from somewhere across the bazaar, so I went to investigate that. I got there just in time to see the end of a game that I can only describe as something fierce that looked like a cross between polo and rugby on desert ponies. There were two teams of men, all wearing headdresses and galloping this way and that way around the ring. One man had a goat skin, which he threw from one of his teammates to another. I think the game was to keep throwing the goat skin to your teammates without letting the other side get a hold of it. It was exciting and noisy. Just like you see in the movies. hungry by then and decided to see if I could find some food. So I wandered back into the center of the bazaar. Down one of the aisles, I heard a flute playing, and something that sounded like a tambourine, so I went to check it out. Sure enough, there were 3 men dressed in flowing silk robes, whirling and bobbing in time with the music. Dancing.